Hello my friends and welcome to the Electric Viking. Fantastic to see you here. Welcome and thank you for subscribing to the channel. It means a lot. Makes all the difference actually in me putting out more videos and putting more time into those videos. Now, Hyundai has more than doubled its electric car sales in August 2021, and this is a general trend for the company. But interestingly, another trend for the company is declining sales. Declining overall sales, but a massive increase in their electric car sales. Now, before I talk about what cars they're selling, how, where, why, etc., just imagine if Hyundai had been better prepared. Right now, they've delayed the launch of their most popular EV by 1 million miles, the Ioniq 5. And damn, it's a nice car. I love it. It's one of my 3 favorite EVs in the world right now. Absolutely sensational vehicle. Unfortunately, Hyundai have delayed the launch of this car in the United States because, well, it's kind of logical really. Hyundai needs all the units it can get to meet fleet emissions goals in Europe and avoid paying penalties on their emissions over there. Now, when that goal is achieved, apparently it's going to happen towards the end of this year, they'll be able to spare a few Ioniq 5s for the United States, where the vehicle hasn't even been reviewed by the media yet because there aren't any there. Apparently there's only 2 cars in the country when they're meant to be released within either this month or the next month. So what we're seeing now is that electric rechargeable cars have reached a record share of Hyundai's total volume. Now, somewhat surprisingly, Hyundai has reported a 2.7% year-over-year decrease in its global car sales to 298,000 as of the end of August 2021. But the plug-in segment for Hyundai has more than doubled. The company sold a total of 14,400 plug-ins, which is up 115% year-over-year, and now represents 4.8% of their total volume. Now, the current Hyundai sales report, according to Inside EVs, is the most comprehensive that we have ever had, as it includes sales from the plant in Europe, the biggest change that concerns the Kona Electric and Tucson PHEV, and plants in China and India, both small numbers. Previously, we were unfortunately lacking data from there, so the results were basically limited to Hyundai South Korea operations, local sales and exports. So this current data we have now is up to date and correct. Now, to put this number in context in comparison to BYD's electric car sales, BYD sold 50,000 plug-in cars in China, including PHEVs and BEVs. In the same exact month, Hyundai sold 14,000 plug-in vehicles globally. Enormous difference, right? Now, plug-ins account for 88% of total BYD car sales in July. So you can see that BYD sold nearly 4 times as many plug-in vehicles as Hyundai did in that month. In the most recent month we have for deliveries. So far this year, Hyundai reported sales of over 94,000 plug-ins, which is up 36% year-over-year and represents 3.6% of their total volume. Pretty small percentage. Now, comparing them again to BYD, so far this year, BYD has sold well over 200,000 plug-ins, which is up 181% year-over-year. So for those of you who have criticized my Hyundai video talking about them being in a potentially precarious situation, you can see that they really are. Only a very tiny fraction of their car sales worldwide are EVs. And the reason for their declining sales, even though they haven't declined greatly, is because only a very small percentage of their car sales are EVs. They just don't have the ability right now to produce enough EVs that the market wants. And that is the reason why they know there's probably a lot of demand for the Ioniq 5 in the United States. It's a fantastic car. I think there's huge numbers of people wanting to order one. But if they're not selling them, well, they can't increase those sales figures. Now, just so you're aware, the Ioniq 5 actually Hyundai sources batteries for that car from both CATL and SK Innovation. Now, the Elec claims that CATL is offering its batteries to Hyundai for under $100 per kilowatt hour, They say, according to people familiar with the matter. And then they go on to say that that's below the average market price of US $135 per kilowatt hour, according to Bloomberg NEF. Now, if your sources are Bloomberg, then that's worrying to begin with. But secondly, it's impossible that CATL are manufacturing batteries for Hyundai at under $100 per kilowatt hour, because the battery they're using in the Ioniq 5 is actually called the NCM811. Now, this battery uses over 80% nickel, which enhances the energy density, and it's one of the reasons why Hyundai can give you a pretty good range in this car, actually a very impressive range in this car, and super fast charging as well. And it also has cobalt and manganese in the battery. So for short, it's an NCM battery. And NCM batteries are much more expensive than lithium iron phosphate batteries. BYD has reported that their cost per kilowatt hour is around about $94 for their lithium iron phosphate battery. That's at the manufacturer level. So if the elec is correct, then CATL are basically selling batteries to Hyundai at about a 40% loss from the manufacturing cost. So that's nonsense. These are the kinds of issues where you really need to do your own research. And before you comment on websites and YouTube videos and places, really good to do your own research first and not read these kinds of things, actually work out logically what makes sense. Getting back to Hyundai, what are they doing? Why are they not selling more of these cars? Well, that's an excellent question. I really don't know, and I think Hyundai knows. They know they've got a killer product here. They know there's demand for this vehicle. So the only logical conclusion I can come up with is that Hyundai just simply doesn't have the capacity to build more of these on the production lines that they've built for the Ioniq 5. That means if you're in Australia or New Zealand or other parts of the world that are outside of Europe, then you're unlikely, possibly of the United States as well, then you're unlikely to see one of these vehicles for, I think, between 6 to 18 months. So far this year, Hyundai has sold 68,663 full electric cars, which is up 11%. They've sold 25,500 PHEVs, up 260%, and total plug-ins account for 94,194 vehicles, which is up 36%. So you can see there's only been a very tiny rise in their full electric car sales, which to me is a little bit alarming and shows that Hyundai is not fully invested in their electric vehicle sales, because an 11% increase is actually the smallest increase for any of the major manufacturers. And you have to say, whether you like Hyundai or not, I do personally, it's a bit alarming that their electric vehicle sales have barely changed over last year's. Now, very interesting numbers here with their fuel cell vehicles. They actually sold 6,300 fuel cell vehicles, which is up 33% over last year. Now, I'm not sure where people are actually charging these cars. Maybe they're just selling them in Korea, in South Korea, where you actually can get hydrogen to charge them with. So the stats for individual models from Hyundai show that the top selling model is the Ioniq 5 by far, with 6,700 sales. It's extremely popular for good reason. Followed by the Hyundai Kona Electric with 3,000 sales, and the Hyundai Tucson PHEV with 2,500 sales. Now, the next few months, according to Inside EVs, will show whether Hyundai is able to return strongly and exceed the previous level of 8,000 Ioniq 5s per month. Here's Hyundai's model results for August. Ioniq 5, 6,700. Kona Electric, 3,100. Tucson PHEV, 2,500. Ioniq Electric, 252. Santa Fe PHEV, 934. Ioniq Plug-in, 343. They've sold 239 multiple models plug-ins in China and one plug-in in India, the Kona Electric. Now, of the Ioniq 5s sold last month, 3,337 were sold in its home market of South Korea, while the remaining 3,369 were exported to Europe. Now, Hyundai actually originally announced that the Ioniq 5 would be sold in Hyundai stores in 10 zero-emissions vehicle states in America, including Texas, Florida, and a few others, Arizona, followed by a broader rollout of the Ioniq 5 in 2022 to various other states in America. Now, they've since cut 2 of those 10 states from the 2021 receiving states, so they're down to 8 states now for the vehicle arriving in the United States in 2021. Now, so realistically, Hyundai just isn't manufacturing many electric vehicles, including the Ioniq 5, and they're sending pretty much all of their exports to Europe. Now, I'm going to be frank and honest with you here, guys and girls. Hyundai's overall sales of 68,663 electric vehicles so far after 8 months in 2021 is abysmal. And it's really disappointing. I can't understand why Hyundai is not focusing on these cars more. They've made this fantastic car and they're just not producing it. In addition to that, the fact that they're still mucking around with hydrogen vehicles makes me wonder what Hyundai's intentions are and what their plans are for the future. Now, a lot of people are very surprised that Hyundai still hasn't announced a price for the Ioniq 5 in the United States. I mean, the vehicle's meant to be arriving there within only a matter of weeks, but they still haven't said what the price would be. Now, there's some pretty popular speculation on electric.co saying they think the price for the Ioniq 5 in base model form will be $40,000 US. I'm here to say that's a pipe dream. If it is, well, that is wonderful and is going to be a huge shock, but I highly doubt that will be the case. I think you'll be more looking at a price of around about $50,000 US, and that is reflected on by the price of this vehicle in other markets. So unless Hyundai applies a big discount to this car, which they don't need to do, why would they? They can sell plenty of these without doing that. Then the price will be around about $50,000 US, which is still a good price for what is a fantastic car. Now, fingers crossed that Hyundai start to take the electric revolution seriously, because they're getting a little bit left behind. Making a great car, but not delivering it is the current condition where Hyundai is right now. Thanks for watching the channel. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.